Hello, everybody. We've got a show that promises to be mildly interesting for your listening and watching enjoyment. We'll kick things off with my mom's triumphant return to the podcast. She's back. We're again revisiting my personal history, and I'm not entirely sure why I continue to do this to myself. After that, we've got Colin Levy, Tech Maven, and Dylan Barrett, startup lawyer, coming in hot to talk about leveraging LinkedIn and the impact of legal technology on their respective businesses. Finally, in the counter program, we've got all manner of harlots and rakes, as well as some interesting observations about gardening tools. As I mentioned, everybody, exciting news. My mom is back. It's Jared Correia making her first appearance on the new podcast. I'm personally very excited. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Jared.
Your one condition was that your actual face not show up. So I don't know what I'm talking to right now. It could be a claymation figure, could be a monster of some kind, whatever you're choosing. But we can at least hear your voice.
I'm kind of looking forward to this.
I wanted to talk to you about allergies, because I've been having a lot of allergy conversations lately.
Really?
Yeah. Kids are both allergic in their own way, and they've received some of my allergies, but not all of them. And people don't believe me, but I'm allergic to hundreds of things. So I wanted to have you on here to vouch for me.
I will vouch for you, darling. The only thing you were not allergic to as a child were chickens, which was surprising, and feathers.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Any kind of feathers?
Everything else. And did you remember that when I took you to the doctor, because we knew you were allergic, you could just tell. You were always scratching or itching.
That's how you found out I was itchy?
Well, you were stuffy a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. And you used to eat only the white of the egg.
I thought you would. Okay, please go on.
You liked hard-boiled eggs. So you
As I still do. Hard-boiled eggs are great.
There you go. But do you eat the yolk now?
No.
You didn't eat the yolk as a kid either. As a baby, as a young kid, you would not eat the yolk. You used to, if I gave you a hard-boiled egg to eat, you would eat all the white and leave the yolk in various places in the house.
So I tell this to people all the time, and they don't believe me. I think they believe me, but they're a little bit incredulous. So when I was 6, I think, I lost my first layer of skin, right? The entire thing.
You
like I was like
a
salamander. Yeah, that's like face, feet, that kind of thing.
No, it entered at your feet.
Did I lose my hair?
No.
It entered at my feet?
No. Ended at your feet and your palms of your hands.
So my palms and the bottom of my feet had the regular skin,
were the only
but the rest
things
of it was
that
gone.
didn't peel. Yeah.
That's great. How did you not freak out when that happened? That's so crazy.
Yeah, we didn't freak out about much.
No? You were like, we're good.
What are you going to do? I took you to the doctor. The doctor said...
The doctor was like, that's cool. Doesn't have any skin.
No, but...
Next.
We were going to take you up to Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
At the time. And
didn't quite get to that level.
No,
what would have gotten to that level? Like a second layer of skin falling off my body? Just trying to figure out a leg.
No,
leg falls off.
No, your skin kind of cleared up after that. You didn't have the eczemas, and then
by which you mean it reappeared.
No, it didn't bother you as much anymore.
I was like a snake.
Because before that,
I shed my first layer of skin.
In Vaseline and cream, and we had to wrap you with saran wrap.
Yes. So,
yeah.
How long did that take place?
For a long time, probably from the time you were about 2 until you were like 5.
Head to toe, cream, Vaseline.
Not head to toe.
Sleeping
not head to toe. It was more like
stop at the neck.
The things that were really bothering you.
Okay, and then I was wrapped
Benadryl.
Basically wrapped in cellophane.
And you took Benadryl so that you could sleep and not scratch.
Yeah.
And remember when you got fake glasses?
No,
so
I don't remember
touch
that.
your eyes.
Oh, really? Oh, that sounds like a pretty hipster thing to do.
Well, you were a little kid. Your eyes itched. You were doing this.
Yeah.
So we got your fake glasses so the glasses would stop your hand from going to your eyes.
And then
I guess there wasn't much they could have done for you except put you in a bubble. You wouldn't have been happy with the bubble.
Yeah, my dad used to call me the bubble boy.
Yes.
You can confirm
and
that
your
as
Uncle
well.
Richard used to tell me that you thought that the humidifier was your sibling because
Classic.
as you went from room to room,
I would have to have the humidifier.
you would,
and so
you would take the humidifier behind you.
I called him Ben. So I used to also bathe in salt water.
Yes, you did. We were lucky. We lived by the beach. And
so you would go
and bring home buckets of salt water, ocean water, so it would dry you out. Because in the summer, you weren't nearly as bad because you'd go to the beach. So you weren't nearly as bad in the summer, skin-wise, as you were in the winter. The winter.
I still like when I go to the beach, I'm in the water all the time.
Yeah.
It's really good. Salt water is really good for your skin in general.
It is.
Pro tip.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And so what I like to tell people is that I'm currently 47 years old, but like my skin is like 41.
There you go.
I'm pretty young. And now the other thing is, like, interestingly enough, I didn't have any really. Well, I had food allergies, but it wasn't like a big deal until I was 21.
The food, you had food allergies.
Do you remember me having food allergies when I was a kid? Because I don't.
Yes, because you didn't eat things. You always tested things. You were a smart kid, Jared. You always tested things. You were always putting things like to your lip to see whether it was going to bother you or not. And if
I didn't realize I had food allergies when I was a kid. I thought that was a later thing.
No, you had food allergies. That's why the doctor said you were eating only the white of the egg.
Interesting.
And the yolk behind.
And now I got
quickly learned to trust you. If you didn't want it, you weren't eating it. That's all there was to it.
And now I got nuts, shellfish, and soy allergies.
Oh, and then, soy was the worst. That we found out afterwards.
Soy is bad.
Yeah, soy is really bad.
Yeah, so everybody who's out there thinking like I'm lying when I say I have all these crazy allergies, I just wanted to go to the source.
Do you remember source being when you
some
ate
unknown
the soy
animal.
Bowl?
Yes. Yes.
How many millions of Benadryl did you take so you wouldn't have to go to the hospital?
I don't want to get picked up by the authorities, but I will happily pop like 12 Benadryl if I have rather than using an EpiPen. Like, just give me the whole bottle. It does work.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Don't listen to me. That doesn't work.
Yeah, people that are out there.
Don't use a whole bottle of Benadryl.
No, do not. Don't do this.
Although highly effective. Yeah, that was the soy stuff was pretty bad for sure. Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay.
To talk about my weird allergy stuff. We'll talk soon. I'll call you after this.
Sounds good.
Next up is Dylan Barrett of Embedded Counsel and Colin Levy of Malbek. They're here to talk about legal technology, including artificial intelligence, as well as social media marketing. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Unfortunately, I've run out of things to say, which is awkward because this is a podcast. So I'm just going to eat an entire canister of Pringles while everyone watches me do it. That shit's definitely going to go viral. Now, I'm just fucking with you. That sounds awful. Let's interview our guests instead. We've actually got 2 guests for your listening pleasure today. The first is Colin Levy, the general counsel at Malbek, and also a legal tech person. More on that in a moment. But we've also got Dylan Barrett, a managing partner at Embedded Counsel, PLLC. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Colin, let's start with you. And then Dylan, we'll move over to you. You work at Malbek, which I believe is a type of wine. Is that correct?
Malbec is a type of wine. I don't actually like Malbec wine. Well, I also don't really drink a whole lot of wine to begin with, but yes, we are named after a wine, for better or for worse. But
is that true? Okay,
that is true. The story apparently goes, there surely must be more to it than what I've been told. But since I'm the lawyer, I'm sure they're leaving something out. But generally, the story goes that the 3 co-founders were drinking Malbec wine and decided that they would name their company after it. But that sounds a little too straightforward to me, so I feel like there's more to it, but I haven't tried that hard yet, so we shall see. If I found out more, I expect to be invited back, and I'll share more.
Please come back, report on that. Always best, I find, to name your company while drinking. What's going on over at Malbek? Because you're not actually producing wine. I made that part of it up.
Yes, no, we don't produce wine. I know very little about the wine producing process aside from what I've seen on a few tours. Yeah, so Malbek, in all seriousness, we are in the contract management space, so we sell software to help companies manage their contracts from start to finish. So basically that means writing them, drafting them, negotiating them, tracking them, managing them, amending them, anything and everything you can associate with a contract, we kind of handle. And, I basically do a variety of things for Malbek. I manage the legal function, but I also kind of just talk people's ears off on podcasts and webinars about contracts and just legal tech in general. And anyone will tell you that 90+% of my time is spent in the legal tech space to some degree. So I suppose to some that may mean I need a life. But I do have a life. I just choose to spend it as I spend it.
Sounds like a good gig. Actually,
it is. It's great.
I feel like a lot of people would be envious and would want to do that.
Yeah,
frankly.
it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of autonomy. So aside from being tasked with various things that are in my job description, I kind of can do whatever I want, which is great.
Beautiful. Dylan, let's move over to you. You can really do whatever you want. You own your own company. So you founded a law firm. You've got another partner that you brought on.
I don't want to
talk to me a little bit about that.
I'm here to talk about me. So
okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dylan. Let's talk about Dylan.
Yeah. So Embedded Counsel, the model is largely to serve companies that either have times of year where they have legal overflow, or they don't yet have general counsel or in-house counsel.
Yeah.
Any size, but our niche is on the small to medium business size, particularly software. But we take all comers. John and I both come from working as in-house counsel before we moved to starting this firm. So we've been on the receiving end of outside legal help, and there are parts of that process that we think former in-house counsel can deliver legal services a little differently than a traditional law firm, and that's not a slight on traditional law firms or the professionals that work at them. But our model is largely flat fee based, either flat fee per project if it's a transaction, or you can pay a monthly fee to have a certain number of our hours available to you. So this model works really well. A lot of times we've actually found at companies that do have one internal legal person who, if to all the in-house lawyers out there listening, when I was in-house, there was never a day where there wasn't a lot of stuff left on my list that I thought I was going to get done. But I didn't. And also a lot of my time was spent putting out like fires and handling, transactions and things, while all the big projects were kind of always on hold and always getting bumped to next quarter and all that. So sometimes when we come in, we're just giving counsel at the company some breathing room. But we take over contracts, things like that, negotiations, jumping on calls. And we're not afraid to do that. And you don't have to be checking, your watch for the hourly bill each time. So that's our model. We're still gaining traction. We're still learning, making mistakes, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. What's it been like aside from the model, which I think is really interesting and pretty unique? What's it been like launching a firm? Has it been as expected, or is it just like crazy shit every day? And it's like, oh,
crazy shit every day.
I thought this would be a zag, but now we're zigging.
No, it's definitely crazy shit every day. And I think, the one thing I way underestimated was the amount of like back office work you have to do, from chasing, invoices to just getting shit to work, right? Sometimes just a random software system breaks or something. And now I'm going to spend 2 hours like troubleshooting, Microsoft Teams instead of doing my job because there's no one else to do it. So that I think that's probably been the hardest part, honestly, is right. We want to be a tech forward firm, but implementing tech solutions is a time investment that takes away from like the, immediate revenue producing tasks. So, you got to find that balance, right? Because you can also sort of overcommit the tech you don't need, which any in-house counsel's seen,
Oh, sure.
software bloat at a company. I mean, it can happen to anyone, right? Because you're frustrated by something, you say, you Google how to fix it, and some software solution comes up, and you think, oh, well, I could use that. And then next thing you know, you're spending like 6 hours with customer success trying to roll out software that doesn't work very well, or
fucking Teams,
something
man.
like that.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, Teams is a persistent challenge for some reason. I don't know why.
I hate Teams. They're never
It's not
sponsoring the shit anyway, so I fucking hate Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't think
Teams.
Microsoft is paying attention to what we're doing.
They may be. Everybody, put a pin in that for the future.
I don't know. When are they buying
Microsoft.
Palantir? Then they'll be paying attention.
Yes, we'll see when that happens. The tech stuff, though. This is like a perfect segue back to our friend Colin. So, Colin, you got the Malbek thing going on, but then you're also a self-described legal tech maven. So I looked up maven online, and it means an expert or connoisseur. So are we talking equal parts expert and connoisseur? How does this break down for you?
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a bit of both. I tend to lean towards more of the connoisseur descriptor because it's more atypical.
Yes.
And frankly, it's just a fun word to say. But yeah, it just comes from me kind of viewing myself as, in some ways, wanting to lift all boats and support everyone within the legal tech space, even though it is competitive, and even though I'm the GC of a company that's in a very competitive space within legal tech. I really kind of see myself as here to just help people find their way, help people better understand the space, and help people in some ways transition, because I do get a number of people reaching out who want to transition from sort of more typical lawyer roles, or even just a legal role that's not in a lawyer position, to being in legal tech. And it's sometimes a little difficult because it's a little bit of a difficult space to crack into, because it's outsized in terms of it being seemingly everywhere thanks to AI now being everywhere. It's relatively small in terms of numbers of people in companies, so it can be hard to break into, and so I try to help people do that. And the way I do that is really by having people think more about themselves and the values and goals that they're after, and how that then fits into the larger picture of, well, what does that look like in a job that actually will pay you money? So yeah, that's kind of where I come from. And I just want to go back to something that my friend Dylan was mentioning, which is that,
Yes.
Administrative stuff and implementation of tech stuff, that is the bane of many a professional's existence. And I think that, too many people too often are allured by technology and think that they can just flip on the switch and it's just all going to just work. And that is hardly ever the case. Even the most seamless technology still requires some degree of setup, which is why I really hone in on people understanding why they want something. And if they can figure out the why first, that will help them tremendously down the line in terms of figuring out how to set it up so it works for them.
Yeah.
And the same can be said about AI too, but I'll leave that for another discussion
Oh,
on
shit.
AI.
Oh, fuck it. I guess we'll talk about AI.
What's AI?
My God, every fucking podcast we got to talk about AI.
I know.
All right, Colin, we'll get to AI. We will, I promise. Colin, you've got a website too, right? Where you publish a significant amount of information that people can access, right?
Yes.
A lot of the stuff is, none of it's behind a paywall, I don't think.
No,
right?
no, nothing's behind the paywall or anything. I don't really like paywalls. It is ColinSLevy.com. S is my middle initial, because apparently, unbeknownst to me until a number of years ago, there's another Colin Levy that exists that's fairly popular online.
Oh, damn. Yes, I saw that guy.
My chagrin and dismay and unhappiness. He lives on the West Coast. He's in video production, I guess. But anyway,
Fuck
rather
that
than
guy, honestly.
him,
We're talking to Colin S. Levy right now.
Yes.
Well, I want to meet West Coast Colin.
What was that?
I want to meet West Coast Colin.
No,
I think Colin's like, no, you don't. Colin, are we talking like, is this a Harry Truman situation where S is just S and you don't actually have a middle name?
No. I do have a middle name.
Can I
sulfur
guess?
for those that
Shit, I was going to guess. Okay.
But in any event, so the website is colinsLevy.com, and I most of the content on there features kind of long form storytelling about sort of people navigating legal tech, creating legal tech, or learning about legal tech. One of my goals is to humanize sort of the techness of legal tech in some ways. And I also discussed the book I wrote a couple years ago, Legal Tech Ecosystem, which I'm excited to have done. And I'm happy to share that I am working on another book currently.
We're breaking news.
And we will see when that comes out, hopefully sometime over the next year, maybe a little plus, we will see. But I'm excited about that one, but stay tuned for more on that.
West Coast Colin Levy is surely jealous. Dylan, you've been getting more active on LinkedIn. You ended up working with Colin a little bit on that.
I did. Colin was my LinkedIn guru, Maven. Maven.
Are we sticking with
I
Maven?
guess Maven's not it's not like an instructional role. So
yeah, guru works. I think.
I was trying to pivot. Can we say guru anymore, or is that like a?
I think we can.
Is that off the table?
I think we can say guru.
Colin, can you check on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good with it.
Okay, we've confirmed. So what was that like? How did you find Colin? Why did you decide to work with him? Like, what's that process like? Because I think a lot of people look for like guidance on how to do the LinkedIn thing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, firstly, I don't have a book coming out. I don't have a website about me.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting to Colin's Netflix special after.
What can only hope
after this, but yeah. So Colin, I met Colin actually when I was a law student, and I was taking a legal technology class at Suffolk Law.
Oh, cool.
And Colin came in to speak to the class, and he spoke in a very sincere, frank way about his experience in the profession. I was coming into the profession at the time from having worked in the software space, sales, and just a lot of the things Colin had to say resonated with me because moving from, an office where other than like a notebook or notepad that someone brought to a meeting from time to time, there was no paper.
Yeah.
Right. Like it wasn't there's no faxing. There was no putting stuff in the certified mail. There was none of that. It wasn't part of my world. So when I came to the legal profession, there was like this huge culture shock. I remember when I was a law clerk and someone asked me to send a fax. I chuckled. I was like, fax. And they're like, no, you have to send a fax. And I was like, why? Right? Why would I send a fax? What are we doing?
Good question.
Then I learned it was super common. I learned to put stuff in the mail was still going on in this profession, that was an adjustment, right? Because your first instinct is to push back against it when you see it, because this is an absurd use of my time, right? Putting things in an envelope, walking to the post like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm like, I was like, and I've still gone into law offices that have typewriters, right? They have an electronic typewriter, and I don't know where they're getting, ink reels for it, but cartridges, but right, you still see it, and I've still received, civil action cover sheets that are, typewritten. So, a civil action cover sheet today doesn't look that different than like a civil action cover sheet from 1965. I don't think they had the cover sheets then, but you get the idea. Other than the huge leap forward in the electronic typewriter, which prevents the hammers from getting tangled up.
This is what the people pine for, electronic typewriter.
That's I remember that was my biggest complaint when I entered the professional world in 2000, 2009. I said, man, all these typewriters are really slowing me down. I'm way off of how I met Colin. No typewriters were involved. He came in, he spoke to a class. I really liked what he had to say.
It's okay to riff.
I approached him after I approached him after the class, and I said, hey, I really liked what he had to say. My name's Dylan. I'm pretty sure I said Dylan. And he gave me his card or his email or something.
I did not give you a card. I don't believe in cards.
Don't.
Oh, Colin, you're ruining the story.
Oh,
none of this
No
happened.
cards.
We've actually never met.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, so he gave me a Polaroid, And I think we met for coffee a little while after, and now I would say we're friends. We'll see if Colin
he's
We're
nodding.
friends.
He's nodding
friends.
vigorously.
He's nodding. Okay, we're friends.
Listening audience,
Jared,
Colin
write that
nods
down.
vigorously.
Write down the timestamp.
Well, I
on that.
wouldn't say
yeah, this
vigorous.
is
It's-
important
I
stuff.
nod it, not vigorous.
Yeah, not vigorously. Not vigorously.
No, I think
Maybe
by,
not close
by the
friends,
rules
but
of
friends.
evidence, by the rules of evidence, if it's something a reasonable person would object to, and you didn't, object, I think we can treat it as true. So,
Blah,
So-
blah, blah.
So
yeah, and now I'm allegedly a lawyer, and
I think that's real.
that's how Colin and I met.
So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. Colin, I'm going to come back to you and then we'll go back to Dylan. So like when you talk to people about how to use LinkedIn, like most people don't post on LinkedIn, but when they start, like, what do you think people are overlooking in terms of strategy? Like, what are the most common mistakes you see?
One of the most common mistakes I see is not a matter of doing it or not doing it, but a matter of thinking that by doing it once somehow is gonna, dramatically improve your results on LinkedIn in terms of viewership, engagement, what have you.
Yeah. Like
What-
making one post you're talking about and just leaving it at that.
Yeah, leaving like
Yeah.
one post or one comment is great. You left a comment, you left a post.
Right.
But
Congrats.
LinkedIn is a long-term platform, meaning that the more consistently you use it, the more focused you are using it, the more it's going to pay off for you. But it's going to pay off for you over the medium and long term. So like after a month, maybe you'll get a few results, but after a year of consistently posting or commenting, that's when it really starts to pay off for you. So that's, I think, the number one mistake. The second one, I think, is thinking that they have to post and only post. I started off simply by just commenting on other people's posts. And that got me going. I think that perhaps the little tweak that I did, though, with commenting was, and this is a little bit of a technical point, is I tagged the poster in my comment so they got notified that I commented.
It's crazy that people don't do simple stuff like that.
Right. But doing that actually does two things for you. Number one, provides notification to the user, to the poster. And two, LinkedIn, I don't have a boatload of metrics to support this other than my own experience. But it does seem to reward in some ways that idea, because what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
With posts is encourage use of it and encourage discussion on posts. So that to them seems like you're trying to do that, which is a good thing. But yeah, those are probably the top two things. The last thing I will say is that, I post every day. You don't have to. It's not as though that is an outright requirement.
Yes.
I just do it because it's just part of my routine now. But you don't have to do that by any means.
Okay. That's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like at a baseline level, like most people aren't even considering those things. Okay. So Dylan, you're a lawyer in the wild. You've worked with Colin. You're posting on LinkedIn. What kind of stuff do you see that works for you? And
That works.
yeah,
Oh,
or
man.
doesn't work.
I don't know.
Take
yet.
it whichever
I don't know yet.
direction you want. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I think, your instinct right now is to go to things that are, hot topics, right? But do we need? I don't know if I want to be another lawyer posting about AI right now? I don't know. You know what I mean? Everyone's posting about AI.
Oh my God. It's relentless.
Maybe I'll post about, weekend throwback. I'll post about the metaverse or something.
Oh, I like that.
It's weird, right? And I think for the listeners here, I'm still relatively new to participating on LinkedIn. So if, put yourself in, I'm in your shoes still, and I'm still, like LinkedIn, at first I was kind of intimidated by it because it's like, though I want to put something out there, and if I blunder, it's out there permanently or whatever. And when I'm applying for jobs, people are going to look at it and all that. So I kept my LinkedIn pretty tame, and it was just, here I am, and I had a job, which is kind of what it was when it started too, right? It was just like, I exist, I have a job, here's my job.
Right.
And then, I think Microsoft bought it and just tried to turn it, into another social network, and they've succeeded in that. And I still I was wary of LinkedIn, my interaction with it was very surface level. To be honest, I didn't and still kind of don't like the cadence and sort of syntax of like a LinkedIn post. I don't understand why LinkedIn favors these weird, like short sentences. It all feels super unnatural to me. And most of the content that LinkedIn was like filtering to me was sort of, the really like sort of generic stuff. Like, if you said LinkedIn to me 2 years ago, I would, I think of like that CEO that posted himself like crying because he had to lay people off, right? Or, just some guy I kind of know being, letting us know he bought, like a fully loaded Mercedes or something and somehow trying to turn it into a post about hard work.
Oh my God.
Like, I would rather that person just post, check out my cool Mercedes, because then I would say like, that is cool Mercedes.
It's more genuine.
I would engage with that.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like that is really cool. That's awesome. You have it. But instead, like, my Mercedes taught me that RPMs are slight KPIs, and it's like, fuck you, shut up. Nobody
just
cares.
Post your
like,
car, bro, and be done with it.
Just show us your car, right? So that was like my impression of LinkedIn. And what I found is when I started following some of Colin's advice, like they started pushing content to me that was more interesting.
Oh yeah,
and less annoying. And hopefully, I'm not trying to like insult what Colin does. I'm sure Colin would probably agree that if you just do nothing on LinkedIn and let LinkedIn present its generic content to you, a lot of that material just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just like people you haven't talked to in 10 years who just got like a new job that's always better than your job. And, that sucks. Or just like you get to see how many of your, like what percentage of your high school, graduating class works in HR now. It's just not
right.
Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get what it was for. I didn't know people got business off of it. I didn't really understand it. And then, my first like foray into it was using it when I was in law school to reach out to lawyers at, firms that I wanted to talk to and stuff like that. That
makes sense.
I found you got a better response a lot of time. You could also see a little bit about them, what school they went to, all that kind of good stuff that makes it easier to start a conversation.
I think
so you got something to start with.
Let me throw a thesis at you guys and feel free to jump in. Like a lot of the social media, LinkedIn suffers from a little bit of the generic social media thing, which is like, my life is amazing. I've got a million filters. Like I'm untouchable. But then there's also like somebody's like Colin, you post every day. But like I think a lot of people post every day and they're like, I gotta figure out something to write about today. So I stubbed my toe this morning. Let me write about that and figure out how this is like. Let me tie this to business in some way. But that's fucking annoying.
Oh, it's incredibly annoying. Sorry to jump in here, but I don't want to. I'm not going to name names per se, but I have seen a few.
Steve.
He sucks.
I have seen a few people post that, really ridiculous analogies about
oh my God,
different topics. And it's like, we're really pushing it here a little, I think. And also, and people may disagree with me, but, I think that there is a line in terms of types of content that is good for LinkedIn. And yes, you can share stuff about your personal life. That's fine. I welcome that. I mean, I post about my anxiety and depression openly. But kind of like more personal things, I feel like you probably shouldn't be posting, not because it's necessarily inappropriate. That's sort of more a subjective thing, but it's more a matter of just like, I'm not sure you really want people to hear that.
Right. Right.
And in addition to that, yes, if you don't have anything to post about on a given day, don't feel obligated to just write something because you have to.
I think you could really feel when someone is writing something when you can feel it right away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And then
it's cool not to post stuff on social media. Let's normalize that.
Right. I would much rather actually have you post on a consistent basis but with actionable substantive content than post every day about, well, I'm just posting today. And then tomorrow, I'm posting today because I feel like I should. And, by the way, it's almost, Friday, even though it's Monday. It's just really, that just doesn't really work for me very well. And the other thing too is, over the top writing or, using AI to write, but not using it in a way that is effective. It comes off as though you literally just asked AI to write something and you didn't bother editing it at all.
Right. Right.
You know,
And LinkedIn's
using
pushing
AI
that
to
because
help
they're
you
like,
write, perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Just don't
Right.
use it and feel like it's that first draft it gives you is, you know, good to go.
and LinkedIn's always like, oh, do you want to write this post using AI? And I'm like, no, I fucking don't.
Oh,
I
don't
want to
even
write it
use
with my
no,
human
no.
mind.
Don't use LinkedIn's AI currently, but
Beautiful.
it will get better. Oh, yeah.
Dylan,
I mean,
you
LinkedIn's
clearly
AI
have
feels
thoughts
like one
on
of
this.
those classic. Oh, clearly have thoughts.
Clearly.
On it? Um. I'd like to thank my mom for commenting on all my LinkedIn posts.
Yeah, shouts to Dylan's mom. Nice
that
work.
she's proud of me. So in modernity, you can't even keep your Italian mother away on the internet. She's there.
She like, have you eaten dinner yet?
Oh yeah. When's the last time? Yeah, when's the last time you ate? You sound cranky. But you know, LinkedIn is it. I also feel like it changes a lot. They push new stuff all the time.
Yes.
And if you're not like using it that often, it can be confusing, right? You know, and you don't know what like the social conventions are. I remember the first time I'm looking at all these different options of reacting to something. I'm like, are some of these considered like mean? Is there one of these that's kind of saying, I don't like this? Like that's what the mutual understanding is. And I don't know.
Right.
Like I'm thinking about it. It's like, well, all right. Am I? No, I'm not. I clicked on that and then I was on the toilet. I saw it. And I kept going and I'm not, it's not what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, but LinkedIn, I think to Colin's point about AI and yours, Jared, like it really does feel like they just crammed it in there. And I think, you know, it's like in 2009, every company had an app they wanted you to use. And it was like, you know, do I really need a Foot Locker app? Like, no, I don't fucking
speak for yourself.
I don't. No. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to all the shoe head, the sneaker heads. Is that what they?
Sneakerheads.
Sneaker
So
heads.
all the
what they're called
all the
now.
sneakerheads out there.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm actually not sorry. I judge you for that hobby. But
now I will say though that you know, I know we're kind of criticizing LinkedIn a little bit. I am one of LinkedIn's most ardent defenders at every stage. So there are some folks I know who have criticized LinkedIn, and it's taken every ounce of effort to not respond in a really mean, negative way, because usually the platform they're suggesting is better to me is like, are you like really high? Are you?
Yeah. What's better for business networking?
wait, hold on, Colin. Are you talking to me?
No.
Dylan, do you have some thoughts on better?
Is this
platforms?
passive aggressive?
Never.
Better for what? I guess better for what?
Here, I'll give an example. Some have suggested that Twitter/X is better
For
legal
political
it's like
for political
it's like
gaslighting.
Apple's
for
for
legal
what?
tech content specific.
Oh, interesting.
God.
Okay.
I think they're
that's
out
crazy.
of their mind because the snippets of content you get on there are so hard to find. Number one, and number two, it's a mess. It's always been a mess.
Oh my God, that's craziness.
I was on Twitter for like 6 weeks and this was in like 2014. And I said, this is just the only emotion I ever felt on Twitter was like stress or rage. Those were the two emotions Twitter delivered.
I think that tracks.
Those are the emotions that Twitter delivers incredibly well.
And they know that emotion sucks you in. I don't feel like LinkedIn is trying to make me like angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
You know,
I don't think LinkedIn, although some of the posts I definitely have encountered.
Yeah.
How
I've run into a lot of political posts lately, which is a huge surprise to me that someone would, particularly like a lot of business owners are throwing their politics out there. And that's, you know, not, I don't get it. It's a weird move.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Obviously, it's like a charged political
let's double down on
environment.
politics.
I don't know. The president's an asshole. Like, it should be obvious to everybody. But like, Colin, like, is there a place for people to post about politics on a platform like LinkedIn if you own a business? Obviously, I don't care. But like, should people do that in general?
I think, look, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to post something political on LinkedIn, that's your prerogative. Go right ahead. That's what you want to do. I don't personally, just because I just don't feel like getting into a debate with people. I just don't do that.
Yeah.
And also, the second part of it is, you know, I it just isn't part of my just thing in terms of the content that I put out there.
Right. You got a brand that you've developed.
Right. But, but I also will say anything, that I write and post on LinkedIn or anywhere else would be something I would have no issue saying to you, even if I had never met you before. So there's a degree in which I sort of have some comfort with which I post, knowing that whatever is out there and it's never going to go away. So that would be my biggest concern with the political posting, is that that's fine if you want to do it, but just recognize that it's always going to be there in some form or fashion.
Right. Dylan, any final thoughts on LinkedIn? And then I want to do a quick lightning round with you guys.
Yeah. I forget who passed this bit of wisdom on to me, so I can't take credit for it. But, I always, read your LinkedIn post back to yourself and say, would my heart, start beating a little faster if someone put this in front of me in a deposition?
Yeah.
Or like, sometimes it's hard to, particularly as lawyers, it's hard to sort of walk that edge of politics, right? Like if I'm making a post about employment law, there's some elements of employment law that are inherently political because they're about, the balance between the employer's rights, the employee's rights, or data privacy which is a practice area of mine I love, but that just gets inherently political. People have really strong opinions about that. So, you also, when you post some stuff, you should expect that if it's a sort of bit of a political potato, even if you're not inserting like an overt political opinion, like saying, I think Congress should pass this bill because blah, 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 you're going to attract political takes if people make comments, just because it's inherently political. And a lot of the practice of, the law itself is inherently political. So it's sometimes unavoidable, but if you just need really nice LinkedIn comments, you just, I can send my mom your way.
Dylan's mom will comment on your post.
Yeah. But I think, Colin's observation that like, it would be comfortable would you be comfortable saying it to other people in like a different in-person context? Obviously, you're not just like sitting there blurting out statements on the orange line or something. That's not where, but like if I was having dinner with someone or hanging out with them, would it be a topic that I would address the same way and talk about the same way? And if not, then you're probably, maybe not being genuine. And I think most people are intuitive enough to detect that. Difference.
Yeah, no, I think most people are intuitive enough to detect a lack of authenticity and also, bullshit. I think that there are folks who, it's pretty clear, they post on LinkedIn thinking that by posting something outrageous or whatever is going to somehow attract a lot of views, and it may very well attract a lot of views that one day. But they're not gonna stick with you, not at all. They're just doing that because they've just seen it and feel like they need to respond, because sometimes you just feel the need to respond to something. But to really attract long-term viewers / commenters on your post, they have to feel like they're getting something out of it more than just having a visceral reaction to whatever it is you're saying or writing.
All right, lightning round. We're a little bit long on the interview, so 30 seconds each. Colin, I'm going to start with you. What is the most interesting thing happening in legal tech right now, and why? Dylan, you got some time to prep this. Colin's legal tech maven, so I'm hitting him with this directly.
I would say that it's reimagining value of data, largely driven by the two letters AI.
AI. All right, Dylan. Colin, that was impressive. That was like 15 seconds. Colin, what do you got?
Yeah, Colin's was so good that I actually stopped thinking about what I was going to say.
Would you like to take a pass, or would you like to continue?
I've never taken a pass before. I'm not going to start now. I think one of the most interesting things happening in legal, and it's AI adjacent, but just watching the same debate that we've seen over and over every time a new tech shows up in legal. Like, oh, where's it going, and who has it, and is this a breach of client confidentiality, and then you see this huge gulf in legal knowledge about in tech knowledge from lawyers, right? I mean, if you send anything on Microsoft 365, if that's what your firm uses, or Gmail, that's all going in a cloud. That's not sitting on your computer. That's being hosted by a service provider, and so is AI, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
A lot of in short, using the free ChatGPT for private material is a risk. and you shouldn't do it. But if you can purchase a version of ChatGPT that is tenanted and isolated and isn't moving or using client information any differently than any other data storage or hosted solution you're using. So like if you look at the architecture and infrastructure of this stuff, it's not that different than anything else out there. It's just the output's different. And I think a lot of the hand wringing over privacy and all these other things is really just the lawyers who want to rally the wagons because they see it as a threat. And I'll probably get some heat for that. But, I've seen some hot takes from some pretty big firms that, my reaction is, oh my God, sorry. My reaction is good luck. If your take's going to be, we're not going to use this because it's bad for our clients. And they always dress it up that way. It's bad for our clients. And it's like, shut up. You're not thinking about your clients. You're thinking about your billable hour, and that's okay.
That was like 3 minutes, but I'll forgive you.
I don't count. I'm a lawyer.
Would you guys hang around for one final segment? I've got some Cracker Jacks. We'll look for the prize inside, and we'll be back in a second. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the Counter Program. It's a podcast within a podcast. This is a conversational space where we can address usually unrelated topics that I want to explore at a greater depth with my guests. Expect no rhyme and very little reason. Dylan, Colin, I've created a new game just for the two of you.
Uh-oh.
I'm calling it Famous Hose. Are you ready to hear how it works?
I don't know a lot about gardening.
Colin's eyebrows to the moon. All right. Famous hose. Here's how it works. I will name a real individual from history or the present day, and you simply have to tell me whether this person invented a gardening tool or liked to get around in some capacity. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Number one. I'll start with some easy ones. Number one is Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde. Was he A, the inventor of the disc weeder, which is an actual gardening tool, or B, was he an Irish playwright who was married with 2 children, but also got it on the regular with a number of lovers, including at least 3 men named Alfred? Which was Oscar Wilde? Was he a famous?
So I'm gonna go with do we buzz in? How does this work? Like,
whoever wants to say it can go first. Dylan,
so
you're ready.
Oscar Wilde was a I think famously promiscuous.
Yes.
From what I understand,
as it happened, Oscar Wilde did not invent any gardening tools, at least as I'm aware, unless there is some other information out there. Famously, lots of trials around Oscar Wilde's love life, largely unfairly. All right, so we're 1 for 1. Are you ready for number 2?
Let's go.
Number 2 is, this is a little interesting. I think this is another easy one, soft landing, but you've got 2 out of 3 here. 2 out of 3 answers are correct. The name is Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull. Did Jethro Tull perfect the horse-drawn seed drill in 1701? Did Jethro Tull produce the song Thick as a Brick? And or was Jethro Tull the inventor of flavored lube? Which 2 of the 3 is correct?
Flavored lube, really? So that doesn't. How would you know what? I'm turning the question back on you. How would that
Colin's
be used in gardening?
unable to speak. Go ahead.
How would you use flavored lube in gardening? I'm going to turn.
I'm just.
And
That
actually,
was-
I was gonna answer.
You were going for flavored lube before I had the other 2
Well,
choices.
no, I was gonna go
right?
for that and the brick.
Thick as a brick? Yes. Dylan, do you have a choice? Choice says, remember, the 2 of 3 are correct. 2 of 3.
I don't know. He also did aqua lung, and that gives me flavored lube vibes.
Interesting.
I'm gonna take a gamble and say he also invented flavor.
That's great, but it's not true. Jethro Tull rock band, as Colin correctly identified. Thick as a Brick, Jethro Tull song. Also Aqualung, as Dylan identified. And then he was also the inventor. He was the inventor of the seed driller. So interesting fact, Jethro Tull was the name of the band, but that was...
it's not a guy.
Well, it is also a guy. It's both. So the band was named after the guy. And the way they were named that is because they used to have their promoters pick a random band name every time they played a new place. And the guy who chose the name Jethro Tull was like this history buff. And that was the name that was picked when they had their most successful gig. So that's what they named the band.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Ian Anderson, who's the lead singer of Jethro Tull, was basically like, I wish I could have picked the name myself. All right. I got a few more for you guys. Next up, we've got Benjamin Holt. These are going to get harder. Benjamin Holt. Did Benjamin Holt found Chippendales, or did he invent the track type tractor? Benjamin Holt, founder of Chippendales or inventor of the track type tractor?
I'm just going to say Chippendales.
Okay, I like it. All right, Dylan, please weigh in. He's thinking about. I love it. This is why I love doing a podcast with lawyers, because I ask these inane questions, they start to analyze it.
And
go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, hold on. Issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. I don't know. I mean, I'll do the counter of whatever Colin guessed. So I'll say
good. Okay, good choice. You are correct.
Yeah. We'll have some fun. All
right.
I
have no idea who the founder of Chippendales is, but it's not this guy. He was the inventor of the seed driller.
Got it.
Do you know? Do you know, Dylan?
Who Chippendales?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a guy nicknamed Chip.
Possibly. Yes.
Who happened
and Dale.
Had a buddy named Dale.
That might be a different show. That might be the Disney, the Chipmunks, Chippendale. But perhaps not.
Probably not a lot of overlap.
Not a lot of overlap. All right. Next one. Nell Gwynn. Was she the inventor of the circle jerk crop puller, or was she the mistress of Charles II? Gardening tool?
I don't know. She sounds like she could have pulled off both.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. But I didn't do any that had like both choices were correct. She was actually famous for being the mistress of Charles II, King of England, for quite a while. That's not actually a gardening tool. I invented that on my own. I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
I was so ready to believe that was like some Victorian era gardening tool.
You're like Googling. I'm like, I got to get one of those on Amazon.
I'm like, oh, man.
All right, let's do a couple more. Sheila Vogel Coop is my next real person. Sheila Vogel Coop. Was she the oldest prostitute ever, escorting until she was 81 years old? Or was she inventor of the crowfoot cultivator? Sheila Vogel Coop, world's oldest prostitute, or inventor of the crowfoot cultivator? Not both, just
Crowfoot.
Crowfoot. Dylan.
All right. Well, we know where I'm going.
And Dylan's got it. Dylan, you're on fire here. Sheila.
By just guessing the opposite of what Colin.
Yes. World's oldest escort. She didn't start escorting until she was 81.
Who's
Wikipedia?
Who's tracking this?
Wikipedia. I guess the question is, can we trust
I want to go to the
Wikipedia?
source and like meet the person who this is what they're doing in life. Is they're like,
Sheila?
Who's the oldest prostitute?
Yeah, unfortunately, Sheila has passed away. She
French?
got a good 4 years in of escorting. The interesting part of this is she started escorting when she was 81 years old, which to me, like, that's a really interesting life
Maybe
choice.
she just wanted to set the record. Like she looked it up, saw it was 80, said, "This is how I'm going
I
out."
figured it's like, can't be that hard. Sure, I can find someone.
Yeah.
Right. This is my Guinness record that I'm leaning into.
My magnum opus.
All right, last one. Daniel Delmas. Did he invent electric pruning shears, or was he the inventor of birth control pills? Daniel Delmas. Pruning shears, birth control pills. Dylan, I feel like you should go first this time because you've been drafting off of Colin.
Well, hold on. Is
like
the
you're just going
suggestion that a
contrary.
guy that invented birth control pills was like really promiscuous? And
Maybe he really needed
trying to was he trying to troubleshoot? Yeah. He's like,
Quite-
man,
quite
this is
literally he was trying to troubleshoot.
this is
yes,
this is getting out of hand.
this is going to be huge for me.
Yeah. Risk mitigation.
Yes.
You know what? I feel like I actually saw somewhere recently the inventor of birth control too.
Interesting.
I'll guess that one.
The
Why
plot thickens. Colin, you going in the
Yeah.
opposite direction?
Yeah.
Okay. He was the inventor of electric pruning shears. Electric pruning shears. Did you guys know that electric pruning shears were invented in 1827? Which seems crazy to me because I
That
don't
is
feel like
crazy.
electricity was like widely available even at that point.
I can only
So-
imagine how they must have worked back then.
Yeah.
Oof. Probably
That's
30
my-
injuries would be my guess.
I'm thinking like there were a lot of injuries and lawsuits around the first electric pruning shears. Pretty good job, guys. I'm impressed. Like you muddled through it and did a pretty decent job. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for playing our silly games. Thank you for talking about LinkedIn. We'll have to do this again sometime. Thanks for our guests, Colin Levy of Malbek and Dylan Barrett of Embedded Counsel. To learn more about Dylan and Embedded Counsel, visit embeddedcounsel.com. That's embeddedcounsel.com. To learn more about Colin and Malbek, visit malbek.io. That's malbek.io, malbek.io. And for more on Colin's work in the legal tech space, check out colinslevy.com. That's colinslevy.com. This is the East Coast Colin, not the West Coast Colin. Now, because I'll always be a 90s kid rollerblading up and down the street with wild abandon, without knee pads or elbow pads or even a helmet, because it was just the late 80s, whose true passion is burning CDs for anyone who would listen. I'm now just doing the modern version of that, which is creating Spotify playlists for every podcast episode that I record, where the songs are tangentially related to an episode topic. This week's playlist is for those about to get down and is sponsored by Trojan Condoms. I'm just kidding, by the way. Trojan Condoms hasn't sponsored shit, but I wish they would. Hit me up. I want the show to be more ribbed for your pleasure. For your listening pleasure? Maybe. Join us next time when we rush the field and tear down the goalposts.